Oh, it's not.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order.
I don't think so.
Jill, can you do a roll call, please?
Is this?
No.
Commissioner Lloyd Graychick,
Here.
Commissioner Laura Greenlee Carp,
Here.
Commissioner Joseph Fromm. Anybody heard from him? Commissioner Ingrid Kohler,
Here.
Commissioner Sue Springborn, Commissioner Sarah Saradka,
Here.
Commissioner Artie Alvarez,
Here.
Councilmember Cassidy Schreier,
Here.
and myself.
Okay, we have a quorum. Adoption of the agenda, I need a motion.
I make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Sarah makes a motion, second.
I'll second that.
Ingrid seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Approval of the minutes of May. Motion, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the May minutes.
Ingrid makes a motion, second.
I second that motion.
Sue makes a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, meeting's open to the public, and thank you for the note. Anyone on Zoom?
No one's on Zoom. Does everybody have their mics on? Sorry, I should have reminded you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's go to anybody from the public that wants to speak. We can,
Yeah, you're next on the agenda.
yep,
Can,
might as well come on up.
All right into it.
Presentation of the ACC, right? So we'll just jump to A.
Oh, you better.
Well, thank you very much, Commissioners. Really appreciate the opportunity to be here, and we are really excited also, liaison and council member. We appreciate the collaborative spirit that we have with the Arts Commission and the Parks Commission. What happened? Went away.
I think he was just switching the monitors over.
There we go.
How do I get it into the full view?
There it is. Is that with the snowman on it?
Yeah.
What's the value?
I'm going to swap that presenter view. Let's see here.
There we go.
Be good. Okay. So we're here to, just in the spirit of collaboration and cooperation and make you aware of some of the work that's going on with our commission and talk to you about an exciting project that we've had the opportunity to sort of kind of fell in our lap. We were, what I'll do is maybe just walk through this deck really quickly for you. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but show you, how this thing came about. We're calling it the Silver Lake Mural Project. This is Carrie Netto. She's my colleague on the Arts and Culture Commission.
Hi, thanks for
I'm
coming.
Tom Sonic. And so, first of all, we're just talking about the value of public art. I'll send you this deck afterwards, and if you want, or I can send it to you, maybe Jill, if you want to distribute it to the commissioners, so you can look through this if there's anything, so I'm not going through every last word of this thing. But, just the value of public art. There are so many things that I think how this can help enrich our community. Having some dynamic public art on throughout the area, so there are public spaces, but we're also trying to coordinate with business owners as well on things that they can do on their private spaces to help, enrich the community through this art. I think there's the aesthetics and beautification, it's this, to me, it's that whole like placemaking thing, this idea that here's a thing that people would come and just to see it and get their picture taken in front of it. People talk about Instagrammable spaces, like an idea that, this is such a cool thing that people are going to want to just have their picture taken in front of it and post it on social media. So why this? Why are we talking about this? So what we had found out was that the Public Works has been in the process of refurbishing the entire bathroom building at Silver Lake at the beach, right? And we found out that they were just about to put out a request for bids for someone to paint the exterior. And I said, hang on a second. Before you spend that money, Because we had found that in a survey that we did, because we did a survey for residents to vote on designs for the utility boxes. You know, this is another project that we've been working on, and our first one was just installed downtown right outside of the bookstore. So we had residents vote on those, and that first one was installed, and we asked residents questions in the survey, like, where else would you like to see things? What would you like to see? And Carrie, I don't know if you remember any of those numbers about, like, how many people had commented about the Silver Lake Beach building?
This building was number one, so.
Yeah,
this
as
was
a,
top of
as a
mind for
potential
us.
spot, yeah. So I thought that was really interesting. And all that data's in the end of this deck that you can look at. So we thought, well, hang on a second. They're about to spend money to paint this thing. People are looking for something. Maybe this is a good potential space for some public art. So that's why we looked at this. So the plan here, so we want to create a vibrant, high-quality mural on the bathroom building that's complementary to the area, and it would really be an asset to the community. So we wanted to have a mural design that's complementary, you know, something that's nature-themed. Looking at covering no more than 3 sides of the building so that the side that faces the street would not become a distraction or anything if there was a design that was busy or something like that. And then a preference for muralists willing to engage with the community somehow, whether in the design or execution of the mural. And so we put out a call for artists. So what we did was, it was a targeted call. We found over 30 muralists. 34 muralists in the Twin Cities. Who knew there were so many? And sent them an email directly saying, this is what we're trying to do. Here's how much money we have to spend. Are you interested? And we had several, I don't know how many people totally responded, but we had 3 people who said, yes, I'm interested, here's my idea. So we had 3 muralists, and I'm gonna show you some of their mock-ups that they did. I was absolutely blown away. I couldn't believe it. And because we don't have much of a budget for this thing either, and that they're willing to do it for that budget, and the quality of these artists, I was really stunned. So as you can see here, south-facing side would not have the mural design, but would be painted complementary to the mural colors to lessen distraction to the street side and reduce the overall cost as well. So here's just a view from the beach. Here's a view from kind of the picnic area there, where the shelter is, kind of, sort of. A view from the parking lot. And so here, I wanted to just show you 2 example submissions that were brought to us. And we haven't had a vote on this. We're planning for the Arts Commission to vote on the 12th of July on which one we want to do. But this is just a snippet from this artist who said their design focuses on the flora that inhabits the banks of Silver Lake as well as the red-winged blackbird. To read the submission, the proposal of everything that this person wrote is about a 2-page narrative of, you know, this artist came with his children and wife to check out the site and really explore the area and figure out what would fit. These are grasses and birds that he saw on his visit to Silver Lake, and so really found, you know, how this would be complementary, and talked about how these things, you know, what they are symbolic of too, which I think is new life, growth, flexibility, strength, resilience, and adaptability. I just think it's such a great story. And I'd love to see even something like that. Maybe, you know, there's a plaque or a sign or something that describes the artist's vision behind this. But I think it's a great story for North St. Paul and complementary to the area. This is just another version of that same design, just to kind of rethink with the doors being more of a complementary color. We're not exactly sure what we would do with the doors, but it's, you know, there's some concern about people who may have, you know, vision issues that might not be able to distinguish the doors if we just painted the whole thing.
I see, yeah.
Yeah, right. So,
Wondering about
but there may be some kind of compromise within there to play around with that. Here's another artist submission. And again, these artists were also very open to engaging with the community. This person is very deep into the environment. You know, both of these artists that I'm showing you here today were very deeply engaged with the environment. focus on the land the project is being designed for and its diversity and how peoples of all cultures are blessed by all the resources. I just think that's really great. And that the people took the time to come up with these designs, I thought was really great. And then they also came up, this one also came up with some designs for the end panels or the ends of the buildings. So anyway, just wanted to show you those things, get some feedback, any thoughts. We want to make sure, again, like we're collaborating and cooperating with this commission as well. As I mentioned, if we go back here, the building as it exists now, all of the greenery around the building was planned to be removed by Public Works already. So obviously things would be removed and then it's gonna look like, hey, you're taking down the trees or whatever, and I've been there, I know.
Many times, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, maybe I may still be seen as the devil to some residents around the lake. But they were planned to take these down to repaint the building anyway, and then there would be new shrubbery planted around the bathroom building. So they'd be replacing those things anyway. So that was already part of the deal. So anyway, love to hear your thoughts and questions, Sue.
Were any of these artists natives?
Native North St. Paul?
No, I'm sorry, Native Americans.
Native American? No, one of them was Chilean.
The reason the thought just popped in my head because I was just given today a manuscript about the Native American culture in North St. Paul, written by Ernie Reif, who was the owner of the casket company here and a very prominent person. And I haven't read it yet. Paul Anderson just gave it to me, and the paper is like falling apart. But it was great research that he did about Native Americans here, and he did it for the Ramsey County Historical Society. So I'm dying to read it, but the thought just popped in my head that
Okay, yeah.
that would be an interesting theme for that.
Yeah, it could be, yeah. We did see, there are a lot of muralists out there who are, there's a lot of diversity in the artists that we contacted. And like I said, we did have one that was Chilean. But all of these artists, I was just amazed by their work. And I think there's potential for other mural projects in the city as well, too, so.
I'd like to see a plaque for sure. I'm glad you answered my question but that would be great.
Kind of with the artist's vision behind
Yeah.
that,
Do you have the funding with this for that, or do you need more from maybe the Park Commission?
It's a great question. So we put all in. We put all of our mural money in on this one and said, we don't have much. It was $4,000, we said, and would be inclusive of all materials. So I think there are other opportunities for ways we can do anything. When I send you this deck, there's a notes section underneath the first slide by the first artist, and you will read a chunk of what he wrote. It's an expansion of what you see here, and it's just amazing. And that, I think, would be perfect to be on a plaque or something like that. And I think that's really kind of neat to honor that artist's vision, especially when they have such a clear and distinct vision or something like that. But there's even other opportunities that could come up out of this. Maybe there's engaging with the artist in other ways, other things that could be done around the cities. This artist actually proposed an idea to have, to engage the community to have sort of an ancillary project, which would be a birdhouse building and painting project with the artist. So you could have members of the community who are building and painting birdhouses that could then be placed in this park or other parks and point back to the mural and kind of have some kind of connection like that. I think that's just a fantastic idea. The other artists had talked about, engaging the community in the design and the execution. Both of them are, or at least these two who had these designs would be willing to engage, have, whether it's children or adults, come to help do some of the painting. So we think that's really, really great that they were so open to that.
I love it. I'm really excited to see what you guys choose. I think that one is fantastic. That's on the front, whatever you guys decide, but it's the story behind it's beautiful and the fact that they cared enough. I'm excited to see what you guys choose, and I think it's going to be a huge enhancement to that park and all the traffic it gets and sees. I think it's exciting to see that you guys put that investment behind it, so thank you.
Yeah, I know I made my reservations known earlier because I'm kind of like the Lorax. But the Lorax speaks for the trees, but in my mind, I'm always thinking of all the residents along the lake that buy property with this beautiful view to the lake, and I'm always very protective of their view of the lake, not just the lake or whatever. And so that's why I want to talk about like invasives that grow up and block the lake, block the view and stuff. But so I was prepared to just kind of go, I love kind of a natural look down there.
Yeah.
This design does not, I love this design. And I thank you for hearing me when I talked about the street facing side of it. We don't want that to be, because that really is. But I do know that, like, the sides are also going to be visible. It's not just the resident who's directly across the street. It's, 4 doors down, you'll have somebody looking this way at the lake, and they will see the side of the building. But I'm looking at this design going, oh, that's so cool. And wouldn't that look cool from a canoe out on the water? So that's not disturbing anyone's property value view, or do you know what I'm saying? And I love this, but I'm like, concerned about the sides. I'm not trying to be a control freak, but I'm like, oh, I could see this design if it wrapped with foliage. If that was blue with green, and maybe not like, Ferris wheel on the side. You know what I mean? We just, do you know what I'm saying? I could totally see that. I could totally see that being an enhancement, not a detraction. So that's just, I don't want to sound like I'm being negative about it at all. I'm trying to anticipate, I think I've been on the commission long enough that I can kind of anticipate reactions from community members, whether it be about pickleball noise or, lights or noise from an event or something. People will be affected, and so I hope.
Yeah, and Ingrid, I know. Yeah, and I get it, but at the
Yeah.
same time, it's like, well, we don't want anybody to see it. And it's like, well, no, we want people to
Yes,
see it.
yeah.
But our thinking on this is that, we really needed it to be a home run. We need high-quality
Yeah.
art on this. We didn't want it to look like, a community project where
Right,
it was a bunch of
right.
kids brought their paints out and they all did
I
it
don't see
together.
anything wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that, but in the right place.
Yeah.
But this place, we just wanted something that was really
Very artistic
very artistic,
and
highly
very high
skilled
quality.
artist.
Yeah.
It's kind of that Frank Lloyd Wright thing, right? Like you were talking about, you want something that blends in, that brings in the nature, and I really think we get that with this.
Yeah, that first design.
Yeah,
especially.
nevertheless, any change will cause complaints. And I don't, and people don't
yes,
complain
it's true.
probably right now about the ugly brown bathroom building that they stare at out
Yeah.
the window, right? So to me, this is an
Yeah, enhanced.
upgrade.
Yeah.
It would be an upgrade to have it painted artistically to look nice.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather look out my window and see that than just see brown square.
This may be crazy too, this is another thought, is if that artist made a print of that and you guys were able to sell it in conjunction with them to make a prop, I'm like, can I buy that for my wall?
Yeah.
Maybe there's a way for your art commission to make some money back from this as part of the proceeds, like if you guys were allowed to sell it in conjunction with this, like a North St. Paul
Yeah.
art exclusive, I think that could be really cool too. Just thinking of ways for you guys to recoup that money to invest in more murals, because I could see, we have a lot of ugly buildings.
Yeah, you could
Northwoods
totally-
one. We could-
You could totally do like a mural series, like each mural that you put up, you offer an exclusive run of prints. Did you already have this idea? Oh, okay. You just look at each other like, oh.
I just selfishly want that above my bed, and I'm like, if you guys could just sell a print of that, I'd buy it.
The way you think, that's great.
You'll need to write that into when you commission them, that they would release that to you, obviously. But
Yeah.
What's that?
you'd have to have them release that to you, obviously.
Right,
but
yeah.
you'll Write that in.
I personally am obsessed with this. A couple of years ago, my family found murals to take our family pictures at, and they're some of my most favorite things. And I would totally take my family pictures at this bathroom building.
Yeah, yeah.
And nobody would know it was a bathroom building. And I feel like it hits so many of the things that you all were looking for in the like Instagrammable picture. It's got like the bright eye-catching colors, but it leans on like the nature and what was at the park. And you can very clearly tell, like Sarah was saying, that this artist went there, sat there, like really truly experienced it and found like a modern, fun way to fold that into the design. And if this is what you get on your first one, I'm so excited to see what else is gonna come.
Yeah, it's a beautiful design. I'm just looking at the birds, like perhaps the birds could be complete, so onto the door a little bit, but maybe then the rest of the door is fine, but what if the birds could
I had that
continue?
same thought, Ingrid.
Yeah, because that would make them look, that's,
I wanted the like
gorgeous.
decals to be different birds, but then I'm like, oh, that's gonna cause confusion when people don't know what's a man bird and a woman bird if they can't read.
oh,
I was like, oh, can the bathroom signs be birds? And I'm like, sorry. I know. I quickly didn't say that.
You know those, you know how in St. Paul you find like random spots of poetry stamped in the concrete?
Yeah,
I feel like it would be more money, but I feel like your story about a couple of sentences about what this mural is, like stamped in the concrete, in like one sentence across the front, would be a really cool way to tie that story in.
yeah.
But not necessarily like have to put the plaque up or, like, because I love the idea of the story. I feel kind of strange about having a plaque outside the bathroom building. Like, it's beautiful, but it's also a bathroom. So, like, finding a fun way to, or maybe it's like folded, like the story's like folded throughout the mural, like the text, you can read it or something like that.
I have a comment. That building is ugly. And I have often thought the street side of it should be painted the exact same color of Silver Lake. So that you're looking and looks like a
Yeah, so, I mean, given the background colors of this, I mean, I don't know what will happen
Yeah.
yet, where we'll go, but it could be that it would be those blues, so more the color of the lake, right, or the sky, or it could be the blues with the grasses, like you were talking about, Ingrid, about around the sides or something like that, or a Ferris wheel. Clowns, yeah.
Rainbows.
I think a booyah pot would be appropriate, because when I was a kid,
That's
that's
at
what a
Casey.
booyah was. No.
Paint the
When
booyah
I
pot
was a
at the
kid,
Casey
that's what it
building
was.
so that there'll always be booyah. It will never run out. right?
Have you talked to the neighbors in that area? Just out of curiosity, because if we're
I won't talk to Tom.
Yeah, I know.
if we're talking, because I'm curious, they may all say, no, we want them on both sides too.
I think
would
when
be
you start
curious.
asking all the neighbors, you're gonna open up
I
in
think,
that
yeah,
part of
it's
town, you're
difficult.
gonna start
It is
opening up.
tricky, yeah, I mean, so, yeah.
I think you'd rather ask forgiveness than,
I think you shouldn't say that on the public meeting
oh, well,
video.
they can come after me, Tom.
Out of the bag.
Come find me.
Well, it's tricky, because it's not, it's not a project just for the people who live
Yeah.
next to it.
Exactly.
It's a project for everybody.
Park belongs to the community, and Ingrid, I appreciate your concerns on that, but each house there also does not own an unlimited view outside their house.
Right.
And I understand you wouldn't want something really distracting, but the community this is for the community.
Yeah.
And so it seems tasteful. I know your heart is to be artistic and tasteful and to enhance it, not bring it down. And so like you said, you're gonna get some hater.
Oh, yeah.
And just let that bounce as long as you're, as
Yeah.
a consensus with your group and you're coming here and it has to be approved by the city council, I'm assuming, so,
Yeah, I think to get no criticism, we know, is to just do nothing.
right, that's,
And there's, some people will criticize you for that, but the least amount of criticism will be to do nothing, and as a commission, that's not on the table for us.
yeah, no, It seems really tasteful and well done.
Good.
When you complete that, could you go over to Southwood and seriously, and take a look at this chimney,
The birdhouse?
the birdhouse chimney?
yeah.
It might be kind of nice to not have to look at this
Walk around
bland,
all the parks, you'll find plenty of.
building, and it might be nice to have some sort of mural. So when I sit out on my deck,
No, I think you sent them to Northwood so that we can
Yeah.
do something to that building, so it'll look nice.
but that's, you know,
For any pet projects, please see me separately. Back of my house, I'd really love to see.
oh, I got my back of my shed too. We could,
Yeah, right. Yeah, mine too.
You got $4,000?
Council members?
we could ask the park commission.
I appreciate you asking. I think it looks wonderful, and I'd love to see them all over the city, to be honest with you. And let me add to this, your guys' electrical box covers look amazing.
Oh, great.
It's exactly what we need. If you guys haven't seen them,
What is
there's
this? What?
go ahead.
Utility box cover that's outside the bookstore.
I haven't seen it.
It's right by Roddy's. So that's the first of 3 in the first phase of the utility box covers. Roddy's will have some historical pictures out there. I think we're still in the decision phase, like which pictures to use. And then there's the one outside, on the corner of the M&I townhomes on the far end of 7th.
I think it's an honor and a pleasure to work with you guys. This is great.
Awesome. Well, thank you
Great
so much.
idea, great work. I commend you guys, the committee, for moving forward, and I look forward to
Excellent.
working together.
Well, we appreciate the collaboration and the spirit and the help and the feedback. It's been great.
Any other questions?
Carrie, anything you want to add?
No, I'm good, thank you.
I did want to ask Jill, since we have a Art Fest budget update, I know it's reports from staff, but since that impacts Tom, would we be able to jump to that really quick?
Sure.
Do we have to stay in
I
order?
don't have a lot to share. The suggested or requests for increase in budget, still with the director and the city manager.
Okay.
Okay,
Proceed as with what you have right now, I would suggest, and we'll let you know. We're still working on
which
it.
is the 1,500,
Everybody okay with just jumping there?
1,500?
Well, it's
Yeah,
too
I'll-
late.
I'll crunch.
Oh, we're there?
There may be a little more.
Okay.
Okay, so budget for what we have, and maybe we'll be pleasantly surprised. Okay. Thank you for that.
Thanks, sorry, I just figured since Tom was here, I'm like, tackle that.
And then we'll see you on Friday.
Yep, at the park, yep.
All right,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carrie.
Community garden.
There's been a little more buzz in our department about community gardens. So I thought to start the process, it's kind of a process of elimination to see if we can get something to work.
Are we looking at this,
Yep.
this document with the map?
Thank you.
So to start out, I've printed out all of the city properties. This is going to include parks and also just lots. And then broke it down to things that are important for a community garden. You definitely need a decent size to get enough lots to make it worthwhile. Generally flat, good soil, water supply, parking, and lighting. So looking at the map, some are better locations than others. Some have one thing, not another. And then what I think it comes down to is what the city is willing to pay to do to make it work. So, for example, I don't know if any would be interested in having a community garden at Casey Lake, but on the upper part, there's a lot of expanse there. The fire hydrant, which is kind of what we're looking at as a water source. Nearby, but not really that great. But it also is in a parking lot where you have to take off a lot of material. You would just till it up and be ready to go.
I worry about that space because the area you're talking about is either going to be where the playground expansion could potentially be, or right behind people's houses on that walkway, right?
Correct.
I think you're going to have an issue with the neighbors
Yeah.
there, and you have a lot of maybe it's good. You're going to get into a Silver Lake conversation if you put something there. It also seems a little misplaced to use one of our bigger parks. I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong.
And this is very high.
Plus, it's
level.
kind of shady, right? So that's not a really good, like, you need full sun. That's the other consideration, right? Because that whole corner of Casey is pretty shady unless you go out towards if you go out towards the hockey rink, then it's open field, but it's hilly. I'll let anyone else speak about that. My concern is it looks off place that you're in your baseball playground, and then if someone doesn't take care of their garden, then you're looking at a lot of weeds growing up. I feel like that in the middle of one of our biggest parks is an eyesore.
I was thinking just the opposite. I was thinking this looks like a great spot because it's not heavily used in that end. I drive down there, there's rarely a car parked there, rarely.
That is the area we've talked about putting in, like the Ninja Park, though, expanding along the playgrounds and the merry-go-round.
There isn't room for both?
You would have to go beyond that in the middle, which is kind of hilly. Which, yeah, I mean, there is a lot of like unutilized space there, so I don't deny that. I don't know. I'm open to what people think.
I share some of your concerns, Sarah, regarding neighborhood, it just seems like it's not, you have to go into the neighborhood a ways to get to that parking lot off McKnight. Where's McKnight?
Half a block.
Oh, it's only half a block. Okay.
It's pretty close. I mean, it would be
block.
fairly accessible, but you would have to tote stuff across that sidewalk.
And I do have quite a few locations, so.
Yeah.
The general
Let's not
idea was,
hang up
I was
on
going to
this.
kind of
Yeah.
go
Okay.
through and whittle it down to ones that would cost
Right.
a lot to improve, so has potential, but it's probably not your first pick.
We're like Northwood, if we're talking about whatever we do to that building eventually, and if whether or not that what do you call it, that baseball field stays there. Like, that's a bright, sunny area. It's flat ground. If we didn't keep that baseball field, like that on the edge, I feel like that, like not in the middle of a park, but at the end of a park, feels like it could enhance it. Accessible off the road. Depending what we do with that building, that's a different topic for a different day. But to me, then if for some reason, if we kept the building and they could put a mural there that goes with the garden, I mean, that could be really cool. I don't know. I don't dislike the idea of it being in one of our parks. I think my other thought about McKnight, and we can talk about this on that separate topic, is after viewing it there, I feel like that might be a disconnect. If we keep that more of a sports facility, it's going to feel off-placed
Yeah.
there. So I don't know about these other little facilities. Looks like Laura's zooming in on them, so.
I was thinking about the McKnight one, and I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
That's going to be, and also with the gardens, the ones that I've seen, so I have a family that live in Minneapolis, and these will just show up anywhere, these community gardens in Minneapolis. They're just anywhere they have a spot, right in the middle of a residential area, no parking, they'll just put them. And people are usually fairly attentive to them because they're so excited they get a little chunk of land to grow stuff. And they're there and they're tending them, but to kind of generalize the type of person that does that, they're kind of committed to it, a little quieter, it's not a big rowdy thing. Whereas if you put it in a high sports area where there's a lot of little kids, they're gonna think it's really cool to go check someone else's garden
Yeah.
out, which you
Yeah.
really don't probably want that.
Yeah.
And so I think a quieter area with less traffic would probably be a good idea. I think you're right on the McKnight sports area. I think that's a busy area.
I think there's a lot of perks to the Northwood one, which is that little, like, it kind of looks like a shovel at the bottom with the star on it, right? That's Northwood. This
Northwood down at the bottom there.
Yep.
Yeah,
one.
That one.
yeah.
Oh, that's Northwood, okay.
That's Northwood. And one of the biggest bonuses is that the community members who were requesting the community garden live blocks from there, if not less. And that would also align with the work that we have been assigned to do, which is focus on Housing McKnight and Northwood. Like, those were our priorities that we identified last time. So we could do both with relative ease around that baseball area.
Or if they want to keep the baseball field and we decide that that weird hockey lot surface isn't, like whichever space isn't used, maybe the baseball field is used more and we want to keep the other thing. There's some good level spots with full sun there. That's because Casey doesn't have a lot of sun unless you were in that weird middle, that's the other, and it's hilly. So it'd be,
Is there water there?
Yeah, so the little red mark there, right on First Street, is on the Northwood side, kind of halfway, probably right by the building, hockey rink
Okay.
area right there.
So like essentially right by the baseball field, if that was something we decided
I
to do.
would gladly go do a drive-by with that and just check out the conditions.
Deliver, like,
my kids have played it at the last 3 years. We
so,
didn't
like,
get a
teams
spot
go
at it
there?
now.
Teams go there?
I don't know,
Or is it like
they would have to
pickup
tell you
games?
who's near it now, but like for the last 3 years, we've been at that field, so I'm really familiar with that park.
Yeah, and,
So a league is using it of some,
North St. Paul,
okay, all right.
Little League.
and those backstops were recently, and by recently, I mean in the last 8 years or so, replaced and improved. The backstops,
But the question might be is like, we're not flooding that hockey rink, so maybe the hockey rink, you know what I mean? Like,
The hockey rink is paved, I believe.
yeah.
so I don't know yeah.
It
We
also,
don't have to decide that today, but
Yeah.
there is good spots there for that.
you can get creative too. I feel like a lot of times when you think community garden, you think giant square rectangle with little rectangles for people. But you could be strategic about where the community garden is and like do some like sloping where it's enhancing. It almost, instead of landscaping, you're allowing people to like garden there. So it doesn't just have to be like ugly square.
Remember what that one woman said the first time?
No, I don't.
Oh, yeah, I said, she was talking about the park that's really not a park. And I said, well, that's probably not suitable, it's all hilly, and she said, I'm from Laos.
Yeah.
She said, hilly is great.
Okay, just thinking outside the box. Downtown North St. Paul Green, I used to watch you guys garden all along in those spots along downtown. Is there any, that's really thinking outside the box, but
There's several
is there any
spots down here.
opportunity to grow vegetables in those spots? I don't know. What are your, no,
When you run the risk of someone walking by, drinking a beer,
Yeah.
pulling a tomato,
yeah, probably. Okay, I was just thinking outside the
Laura,
box.
To your point, gardening type of people, they're creative and they'll take any little spot.
Exactly,
and
yeah.
Grow, my wife will take a bucket and grow the craziest big plant. And I mean, they're just looking for a little space.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a large expanse.
There were 3 little lots down on 7th Avenue there. One is,
Can you speak up?
there are 3 little lots kind of right on 7th Avenue there, just a few blocks from Margaret. They don't look very big, but you'd be surprised, they'd probably fit about 15 plots there. And
So-
they do have,
so the
so
one-
it's something to look at. Those aren't park properties, but I can
That's
look into
fine.
those
is
too.
this one that's on off of Margaret, is it the parking lot?
Which one?
Triangle one? Is that the parking lot?
Right on Margaret, yeah, where it's like a triangle and then has
So
a
that's
little
not
square.
grass, that's,
No, I really marked the ones that had like grass areas.
okay.
next
What
to
is the one on First Street, just south of 7th Avenue?
Oh,
That little rhombus or whatever, it's not a triangle, but it's angled on one side and,
this one, Jill.
the one that's just south of 7th on First.
It's a
What is that?
little green area. No, it's dirt. It was hard to tell.
It's a parking lot right there.
It's a parking lot.
It's a parking lot.
It's hard
and-
to tell.
Okay.
Some of them are really brown and I'm like,
Oh, okay.
maybe it's dead grass, but it's probably a parking lot, but it's still ours.
Actually newly asphalted from
Oh.
2 years ago.
Okay.
The one over on Margaret or the First Street is too?
First Street.
Oh, okay.
But the
Stated
one
then.
across the street, that's that little triangle
Mm-hmm.
park.
Yeah, by
There's
Penn Place.
nothing there except some trees.
The Historical Society corner?
No, oh, on First and Seventh.
This one,
Straight up from Northwood.
park too.
Okay.
It's not very big, but for a garden, it could be good.
This is also, sorry.
Oh, I was just wondering, what is the one, I can't picture. I should, Henry. That's the Boy Scout Museum there, right?
Yep.
So what, I don't.
What is the spot on the corner by the Boy
It's
Scout
behind
Museum?
the building.
Oh, behind the building. Oh, sure. Sure. Okay.
So random.
What about refurbishing the land where that gas station was? Is that on here?
I think that's being torn up right now.
I don't know.
I'd just like to throw out there that Northwood would not require us pulling up any sort of asphalt. And it is close to a street, but not as highly traveled of a street. So
Right.
you don't have to worry about the contagions and off-puts that have already been in the soil from downtown or with the consistent use of the main streets.
I do feel like Northwood is a very sprawling kind of park, and maybe there is a good spot. I think we should look at Northwood,
I totally agree.
but I don't want to sacrifice any ball field or potential hockey rink. Maybe we're not flooding it now, but maybe, I don't know, my kid played down at that park,
Well,
so.
and I think it kind of falls into the whole master planning that she's doing anyway. So if we pick this as a good spot for community garden, it might be something that goes into the master plan at that park, along with
Yeah.
whatever we find the community is looking for.
I kind of need to visit all of these places in person. It's hard for me to look at this and be able to say, oh, I strongly recommend this or that. I think I need to take this map and drive around.
Is Colby Hills, across the street from Colby Hills on here?
It's an empty lot. They do flood it for skating.
This is Office 7th.
I don't know if that
think a lot of
damages
our-
a garden
I think
to
a lot
have
of
it
our
a garden
property-
during the
A
summer.
lot of our parks now have got some sort of usage, and
It looks like the hot
I would imagine if we had to went to Northwood, we're gonna have to do ADA issues anyways,
spot that
Mm-hmm.
one.
to get accessibility.
it's used or
And that might be a good time to work it into the plan for 2024, if that's where we're gonna decide to do it.
Right.
I don't know did that hockey rink get used much?
We don't flood it anymore.
I don't know if that,
So
they found it really hard when you put the tar on. It takes a really long time to set. It's easier on grass than it is on tar, but I don't know if anybody uses it for rollerblading or,
I mean, I rarely see people there. I'm sure there's 5 people who use it, and it's their absolute favorite spot in the world.
There's a sign on it that says roller skates only, isn't it?
I honestly don't know.
Well, we don't have to decide what we're going to do with
Yeah.
that
No,
tonight,
it's-
but I think there's a lot of potential there, and I was telling Laura that if you haven't seen off of 7th, that Goodwin Park, which is next to the Maplewood ball fields and across from the golf course, they have a cute little park there that's all soft-surfaced, and I thought we're building a hockey rink, and then just realized like 2 days ago that they actually were building a parking lot because they've had an issue with parking. And Northwood is one that, because I have spent a lot of time there, that parking is really hard, and sometimes you have to park like halfway, you had to park a quarter mile away just to park there for a game, that if we aren't using that, we could actually maybe repurpose what looks like a parking lot now into that, like what Maplewood's doing, which I thought was kind of a genius idea. And that could tie into our ADA accessibility too, and being able to actually have handicap spots when we come back to that. But I think there's a lot of potential at Northwood, and I don't think you have to tear anything up because there is a lot of space here.
the other place that I would point out too, like Artie was saying, just picking small little spots just to the west of Northwood, you see those little squares there? They are about 30 feet of a city property. It's not really an easement, it's just property we own. They're right next to the road, they're very small. Can't really put anything there.
Isn't that Country Club, that one, that first one?
Country Club, I whited out because that is on, Brandy's looking for something to do there already, so that's not showing, but there's 3 other spots.
Is that the empty lot across from
Yeah.
Country Club? So I propose putting a community garden there, like 4 or 5 years
Is it
ago.
really? Okay.
Yes, that would be a great
Did
spot.
they have any reason for not?
Mostly just that kids play in that like empty lot. So, but
So it's similar, if you go down, I think another block, there's 2 more, just on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like probably they would use it for a larger yard, but it's city property on all 3 of those.
And it's a lot like what you're talking about in Minneapolis. This is more like Minneapolis-style garden where you take up a block and you have like 10-ish plots and people take care of that. So it could be a this and type situation too. If we decide to do like a bigger one and then help do smaller ones.
Why don't I start doing a little research on Northwood and that area there, and
I have one more question. Can you tell me about the area that's by this lake? Is that over by Target? On the left?
Oh,
that's that urban, the postal.
I was gonna say, that's
PCO.
super tree heavy, isn't it?
yeah.
Like a forest around
There's
the,
all shade.
okay.
Yeah, I think.
Okay, that was my only other spot
It
that,
was a sensitive topic when we took the bus garage and put it right next to that years and years and years ago.
no, this is by Target.
This is over.
Are you talking the Target one, or
talking
you
here.
talking urban ecology?
I'm talking the Target one across the street.
Well, there ain't
It's the
much,
one where we took the signs down, the PCU.
PCU,
Postal
yeah.
Credit
there
Union
wasn't
one.
much,
Behind the old Taco
there
John's.
isn't really much space to put,
No, not
No.
this one.
mostly pond,
Very tree
Yep.
and tree heavy.
Okay,
yes.
okay,
Okay.
Anything else? All right,
all right.
park updates.
All right, I'll just cruise through these park signs. So we have a couple in. Check them out at Northwood and Southwood. They're marking a few more places like Housie. What was the other one? Who's in Silver Lake. So
What about-
we'll be working on a couple more.
Okay.
Bench program that Ramsey County was offering, decided to stick with the standard bench. So we're not going to participate in that. But they are working on a plan to start the ones, or find locations downtown. So I'll be going to the parks. If anybody wants to walk the parks and see where additional benches are needed, we'll try and group an order together if we get the money approved for that. So if you can think of any parks that need a bench, let me know.
Okay.
Are you saying that they are going to put some benches downtown North St. Paul?
They're working on it. It's from what I understand, is benches, bike racks, planters, and they're trying to figure out the best place to put them for snow removal and things like that.
Are they like metal benches or?
Yeah, they're the green one. I'm trying to think where we have one now. They're not like
Downtown,
this.
The green striped ones?
It's like the Featherstone one, isn't it? Where's Tom Featherstone's?
Where's one?
Right downtown.
Maybe.
It's one dedicated by the garden.
And they did,
Okay.
Ron told me they did save, that was, we put that in there, the North St. Paul Green, because we had two members die. And that bench is for Tom Featherstone, and then there was a plaque, and actually, the tree they couldn't save, which was too bad, because it was a ginkgo, it probably would have lived 100 years. But I think they have the plaque for another person, and they're gonna put those somewhere.
So just to piggyback off of that, there are several bike racks, and council has talked to City Manager Randall about getting some of those out there. There's been a huge inquiry downtown for those, especially outside the Hang Time Board Shop. There's nowhere for kids to put their bikes, and they're leaning up against walls and/or they're being placed inside their building, and they just don't have space for it. So Ron's aware of it. Ron's aware of it, and they're in the process of it, so.
Excuse me, they're just gonna use the same ones we had, right?
Correct, yep.
My only thought would be on the backside of Casey Lake, there's no benches between both parking lots. So somewhere, I think if someone's walking that, it would be good if someone wanted to rest somewhere along, since that's almost a mile trail. There's ones along the lake and close to the building, but as you go the other side, it might be nice to have one back there if they're giving them away. You know, that would be my one thought for the parks that I oversee.
And I have one neighbor who Speaking of Silver Lake, who would like to not see any more benches? Because he's starting to call the end of Charles, what does he call it? Metal Park or something like that. There's just a lot of metal benches in one kind of stretch of Silver Lake, so.
Probably so the community can enjoy the lake.
No, I think it just, they're just a lot. It's not a, yeah, I'm just saying maybe not anymore in
We're
that one
looking to fill
area.
in the holes.
My,
I noticed when I was at Casey, it was like,
it's dead zone for the back corner.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
My other suggestion would be right off the Gateway Trail at the Urban Ecology Center. There is a bench up on a hill that's really random, but it takes effort to get your bike up there is impossible. So actually, if a bike rack came with it, or even a bench right off the Gateway on our easement where we own that park,
yeah, that would be.
that would actually be where the DNR sign is that needs to be desperately repaired. Like, that would actually be a nice place for people to stop and sit.
No, there were a couple benches inside that urban ecology center. The one of,
But the one's up on the hill, it's up on the hill and it's like,
when you walk in from 6, there's
Oh.
one right there, and it's wood, and it should be cut down.
yeah.
And it
But a nice metal bench right off the Gateway where you can actually just, I want to, like, I take my kids on that trail all the time, so then someone's always tired. I need to sit. Like, they love a bench as like a milestone. They're like, we're the next bench, we're going to stop.
Yeah, you're right.
But there are no benches on like the North St. Paul stretch till you get to Rotary.
I may send you a map, just to make sure we mark it.
There's a lot of people who stop at the Snowman too for that picnic table, and will like walk over to Holiday to get drinks and snacks. And they usually just bring their bikes like in front of Holiday, but it might be nice to have a rack there.
Great
Yeah, by the Snowman. And then the other thing, in Southwood, there are some benches that are, the majority of them are wood and they're in rough shape. So that would be a place where we could put more benches or put a metal bench in there.
Bench it up? Yep.
Okay. All right. Like noodles.
We're not lacking in places for you to put free things, Jill.
We'll fix ourselves. All right. Little Library was approved. They are going to purchase it and then bring it to Public Works probably mid-July. So they weren't going to be able to complete that until then, but they'll meet it and get that installed, so probably by the end of July. And then Housy, we were just awarded our grant.
That's awesome.
Oh, exciting.
So $194,000. It's kind of a 50%, so they will split the cost with you. So they'll give us up to 194. So we're going to go out to rebid, and then looking at completion for next year.
Awesome. That's really
Break
great.
ground in the spring?
I'm gonna try and get it started so it's ready for when kids get out of school.
Oh, awesome. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Crossing my fingers.
Job.
Yeah.
Brandy did a great job. She put all that together and got that submitted for us.
Cassidy, we promised you we would start doing stuff. So this is us doing stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just to piggyback off of Jill. We have not received the funds yet, and we're not sure when we will be receiving those funds. We just got the email this week saying that we are awarded them, so it's
Correct. I think they put in the packet that they sign the contract, like, not until October, that kind of thing. McKnight update, it's, generally, we're still working on community outreach. So we're doing the survey at the music in the parks. It'll be coming up at the food truck, and wherever we can. So I put on your little packet these cards. There's a park survey. If you haven't filled it out, do that. Pass it on to your friends. Pass it on to everybody you know. She looks like she's gathering all that information. She's still working on the plan, and she has McKnight and Housy as the priorities. So when she gets all that information and works on the plan, those are what she's going to be starting on. And then she kind of sent a synopsis here of everything she's going through, so you can read that. And I do have a copy in the back for anybody that was here from the public, but nobody's here, so. And that's about it for the park plan updates.
You good?
Oh, well, and maybe I'll touch on this one too. So we're going to all the parks taking pictures so she can get an idea of what we have now. So we can put all those new pictures in there too. I talked about the survey. She's having a stakeholder meeting, late summer, early fall. I'm not sure what that is. There you go.
Good?
Anything else?
That one.
All right.
Concerts in the park?
We had a great concert in June. It was really fun, the kickoff. And we did have a food truck there, Salsa, wait, what's it called? Salsa Spot was there. Yeah, she's really, I love their food. So that was fun. I hope she had some business that night. I would like to rethink the placement of the food truck, just so it's more visible. I feel like that truck was just a little bit hidden between the two buildings. Maybe she just needed a sign that called attention to it or something. But I just felt like it wasn't as visible as it could be. So maybe if it could be parked in the lot, people would see it more. I just feel like I want them to have a lot of business if they're going to show up
Would they have
for
it
an
between
event.
the Booyah and the main building?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Because it was more level, I wonder why they tucked back in there, because it would have been a little more visible out.
I would
Oh,
think the parking
yeah.
lot would be much more visible and more,
it'd be kind of cool if
accessible.
they could see it, if people could
There's
see it
level
from the
spots
street,
there.
too.
There's level
Yeah.
spots.
That's where it was last year too, and I thought the same thing, you couldn't see it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just to rethink that, but we do have another concert coming up in July, I don't have my date handy here,
20th?
20th. The Bazillions will be playing. It's a kid concert, so get the word out to people with young kids.
When is it?
The 20th, Thursday, the 20th, July 20th, at 7 p.m. Right off the park, so if they get bored by the concert, they can just go play on Janie's Playground, and
Are you having a food truck that night too?
Jill is working on that, trying to
There's a
line.
way too for you to, you might have, because I don't drive past that way much anymore, but to advertise, because I didn't even realize you guys were having a food truck with that night. I know I couldn't come to this last one, but I think the more you advertise the food truck, they might both do a service to each other. People come out for food. Because the problem is if you're just coming for the concert at 7, you might have already eaten dinner.
Right.
So then that's,
Right.
but if people know there's a food truck, they might come out earlier and make that their dinner.
You could get Hometown Creamery.
I was thinking, I've tried Snack Shack and Candyland, so somebody get back to me.
Yeah, so she's
I'll reach
working
out
on
to
it.
them too.
Who owns Hometown Creamery?
Susie Prue, oh, her name's not, as a child, she was Susie Prue, I don't know what
Is her husband's name Howie?
he's passed.
I was gonna say, he passed away and he
she's
was our
remarried, has
contact.
been.
Oh, okay,
Sometime.
got it.
So do you have her contact number? Oh, you do, okay.
Does
I just like it because she's a hometown girl.
I know it.
well, we were talking about getting in touch with her for food truck night, but did you got her contact info
I have theirs.
for hometown?
Yes.
Perfect. Does the food truck come early?
Yeah, they did. Yeah. They were around we invited them to come early, and maybe that would be about 5 or 4:30 or something like that, but he actually came from the person that was driving it just pulled in from another location and was there since 2 p.m. or something like that. So hopefully they got some business out of that. But I think it should be more visible.
Are there social media events of the concerts in the park through the city? Like you know how you make the like actual event so people can share it?
Gotcha. Carrie takes care of all the social media stuff, so I can have her set it up.
We can email and just, that will probably help you big time too.
Yeah,
Okay.
that'd be great.
Do you want me to email her? Okay.
Would you mind? Yeah.
No big deal. I just would need the August date from you.
Yeah, okay, I'll give it to you right now. Oh,
Well, she probably has it.
no,
And
I've got
I
it.
did
Yeah,
put
Carrie will have it,
all
but
the music and start dates, so I can send that to you.
August 17th, that one's at 6 PM.
I'll send it to you.
That's going to be, that's Empty Pockets. That's more of a band, but the Bazillions are going to be playing on July 20th at 7.
Yeah, those events really help boost food truck night. Like, I got shared like over 1,000 times, or like over 1,000 people saw it. So
Yeah.
if we can get that for you, it's just passive advertisement. You
Fabulous.
don't have to worry about it.
Fabulous. Yeah.
Anything else, Ingrid?
Did you have anything else about the concerts?
I don't think so.
Okay. No?
Okay. McKnight Park visits.
Yeah, I just wanted to get your feedback, if you guys went and took a,
I have more questions than feedback, but you guys have my feedback.
Artie, Sue and I went together, and Laura went on her own. I don't know if, and
I was
Ingrid was with us as well. So, yeah. Artie, why don't you ask your questions?
So the tennis courts there, someone had said they're not usable for some reason.
Like, one's condemned.
So there were the two of them. So the one behind, the ballpark there seemed like, yeah, it had some cracks in it, but I just think that's fixable. I mean, there were some cracks in the asphalt, but that's something that can be patched and repaired. And so all the talk about pickleball courts, I mean, that place is big. And it didn't look that distressed. The other one did look more distressed.
Yeah.
but-
Yeah.
so there's one that's kind of like out in the middle of the parking, is that the?
Yep, that's the not one we're talking about. That one, we agree, just needs to be torn up.
Yeah.
It needs to be torn up. We had originally went in, I was thinking like, okay, well, that bigger tennis court, the one that's in what we're calling salvageable shape, I thought like, well, maybe that could be futsal or something, but we looked at that and all the talk about pickleball, I think you're right. We kind of came to the consensus that like, we think these should be rescued and repaired a little bit, and hopefully with not tearing up and redoing and getting a refresh, maybe wouldn't cost as much as like the Housy project. But I think we did all leave that, and I don't want to speak for you guys, but feeling like the sports theme around here is really important, and I think protecting that. The other thing we felt really strongly about is the spot where the unsalvageable tennis court is, the one that's stuck between the two. What we think would be great in that space is either expanding the parking so that more people could actually, because there's a serious parking situation there on nights when there's multiple things going on, but also adding a playground or play structure for kids. Roseville has a really great one that theirs is actually sandwiched in between ball fields, but knowing that there's softball fields, there's that, the Legion, and then there's the T-ball stadium or whatever. There's no place for kids to play, so what they're doing is just running around that tennis court. But if we could get a play structure in that would be useful for kids to play while their sibling is doing something else, I think that would be a huge win. And then whatever else we do within that planning, keep it sport related. I think you said the school district owns that parking lot. It is in serious need of repair. I think if there's any way we could partner with the school, and let's say they feel like futsal's, we could probably get a futsal play.
I don't think the school owns that parking lot. I looked at the interactive Ramsey County map. That's city property.
So we need to fix that parking. It's a disaster, like bad. And we also need to clear out, there's several trucks that just are parked there all the time. So code needs to go in and start slapping tickets on somebody, or like they're there all the time. Even a few parents we walked past commented on the same thing. They're like, these trucks never leave and they take up so much parking spot. But you guys weren't even there on a busy night, and that lot was pretty full and people park into the streets. So I think there's not a good ADA solution there as we think about that too, making this holistic. And I know there's a lot of conversations about the batting cages as well. A lot of anger around that, but that's a separate topic. But I think there's a lot of things we could do within that space, but if it's salvageable, that was our thought, is like, can we get a playground? Can we improve this parking lot? Can we fix to make pickleball courts? And in an ideal world, we could put in we could probably get in 8 pickleball courts in that space. It's huge, that if the city was able to have somebody who could do leagues or something, or even a volunteer who would want to step in, like the city could make money off of that space, like, and again, if there's a playground, how easy it is as a parent, I can go play pickleball, my kid's going to play. We've got a really great space that's we could utilize to make some money off of. When you think about, if we're going to spend all this money on it, maybe leagues would pay, or it's just in such demand that these leagues have nowhere to go. Like, we would be offering a service. I don't know, Laura, if you had different opinions when you walked it.
No, I actually had the same. My kid plays soccer at Kohler Meadows Park, and there's baseball fields and soccer fields all the way around, and then right in the middle is a playground, and that's what the kids do the entire time. That's what the siblings do. I think that's definitely something we should look at doing, and I think utilizing that space for pickleball courts would be equally as important.
Yeah, I think the parking expansion is needed there, and I think I agree completely.
Well, and we were confused too, because Artie pointed it out that behind the Legion Stadium, there's like a small parking lot, and then there's our weird tennis court that's stuck in the middle, and then a parking lot. So is there a way that we could better connect the two and I don't know if we own the Legion parking lot, but like take some of their space? Like, I think it just, when you guys are doing that, whatever the plan you get, I think it doesn't have to sit how it is today. That parking lot could be relooked at, and the space could be relooked at, and could we get a futsal, or could we work with the high school and see, like, I'm just not giving up on this futsal, because I think Target would give us a pretty large grant to do that, and it's right across the street. And they're not, I looked at one the other day, there was one in St. Paul, and they're smaller than a tennis court, than our Housy tennis court.
Really?
The one they had, yeah.
Could we do like 4 pickleball, 2 futsal? Like, could we do both?
I don't know, but you could put a futsal, kind of where our old tennis court is, a playground, and then reshape parking, depending if you rejudge it a little bit. Even like a Gaga pit, so kids could play in. Like, there's just some things that wouldn't take up a lot of space, that as we think about, I think we have to look at that park as, how do we keep people active? How do we keep siblings active when their parent or sibling is doing the activity? And then how do we improve it so it's accessible to everybody?
And I think that's the message she's probably going to take, because she's working on such a large master plan, that's probably what she's going to take from it, is that you need something for the kids to play with while other people are active at the facility.
The more I've been there, the more I feel like that is an asset that we are just not utilizing,
It's really rough.
It looks horrible. It's a really bad example of our city, but
Well, it is one of our priorities.
yep.
And we are finally doing something about
Yep,
it,
we're
because
doing
we've
it.
all been talking about how we have to. And so, yes, and we're going to do something about it.
yeah, I'm excited.
So at this time, go out and get those park surveys coming in.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see what they say. My neighbors said they did it, and they were really interested in like a skate park, and those can be really small too. But as we think about sports in general, like, is there a way we can incorporate? Yeah,
My daughter's been asking me if we can please put in a skate park somewhere.
yeah.
Especially with hang time,
survey.
board shop right there, and the traffic that they're getting. And there's a bunch of funding right now for skate parks. It's a big movement. So it wouldn't even need to be something that just came out of our budget. I imagine we could get a grant for something like that as well.
Has a lot of potential.
Where is this new, where is the new,
It's across from Max.
really?
Yeah.
There's
We
a
went in there
a
the other
board
day. It's really
shop.
cute.
Hang time board shop.
Cool.
Yep, it's right
really
next
well
to
done.
Roddy's, right?
Next to Roddy's.
Okay.
It's like 2 stories too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Surprising, yeah. It's done really
That's
well.
exciting.
Yeah, my daughter's big into skate. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, we signed up to get lessons. They're gonna like do it in like Housy's parking lot or something.
And they have North St. Paul boards, which are really kind of cool,
Wow.
with the snowman. Kind of neat.
Did you consider dog park down there too?
Where?
Down at McKnight?
Oh.
That would be such a bad.
We didn't talk about dog parks down there.
It didn't feel, I mean, I guess it just didn't come to us. It doesn't feel like the right spot.
It feels
really
like,
Sports center.
it feels like the sibling play area felt like the biggest priority. And then also just recognizing that these courts are not as bad as, the other courts are not as bad as we thought.
They didn't seem that bad. I mean,
they seem
they're gonna need
salvageable.
some work, but they're patchable,
That's good to know.
Yeah.
I think.
You're more qualified to answer that than the
Yeah,
rest
no
of us.
kidding.
All right, anything else?
I think that was a really good synopsis.
Thank you. Food truck.
So I think between the two of us, we're kind of splitting some of the duties. You had 4 food trucks. I'm still working on getting a couple more. Had someone reach out called Yum Yum. They do mochi donuts and croffles.
Yeah, let's do it.
Still working on one more.
Okay.
We have the band. I think I'm going to set it up the exact same way as last year.
Yep.
Yeah?
Just
Why are we-
along that side. Can I ask a question? Sorry, I interrupted you. Last year, we had them all on one street. So like, the band was here in the pavilion, and then whatever, I'm so bad with streets, that all of the food trucks were parked next to each other on one street. Does it make sense to you to have them all on one street so you can hit a bunch of them, like, all in one go? Or maybe like 2 on each street, so then you're like, whoop, the whole way?
Cooler. That seems more,
I wonder if that would be detrimental to parking. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm thinking the parking spot, issues with parking.
well,
It was so nice to have them in a line.
Feels impactful when you come up and see all those food trucks. Like, it's very
It's like a
narrative statement,
visual
yeah.
thing.
I like the idea better to have them all around.
Mm-hmm.
But I think parking would be a big.
The functionality maybe isn't as good. Okay, so then we'll just stick, that's the I wanted to see if we'll just stick with that. And then we can control where the bathrooms are too, like in hand washing stations, it doesn't have to be through the whole park.
Okay. And to add to that, so Carrie, the communications expert, she is also well-versed in doing special events. So what we're trying to figure out is different ways that we can incorporate her expertise also. So it's really up to you guys how much work you guys want to put into these events. There's different levels where you just give us a concept. We'll give it to her, she'll work on it. We split duties, or you still do as much as you have been doing. So it's really, we're trying to get the feedback from you guys, how much you want us to take off your plate.
I think it's great. If she wants to do that and be engaged, I think that's, for me, wonderful, I think.
same.
And it goes a long way too, like I feel like we can only do so much meeting once a month, like to carry things forward.
Right.
So we're meeting in subcommittees, which is fine, but if it's incorporated as somebody's like day-to-day, she might be able to knock out food truck night in like 2 days and then move on, you know? I would be inclined to give her some of the like smaller one-off events to run with, because if we're talking about like the Autumn Art Fest, like she could be a part of it, but it's been like, we're meeting every 2 weeks, we're like trying to figure all of that out. And I think that's more of like commission-based, but I'd be fine giving up food truck night or whatever, I don't need to be a part of that.
Okay.
I even think like even some of these like if we meet and it's like, hey, we need stages, we need marketing signs, like those are the things that we're doing that are taking a lot of time. We need help finding artists to do, yeah, absolutely. Like I would love for her to take that on.
All right. Sarah, you got anything else? Laura? Anything?
Can I ask, what's the date of food truck night? The date
26th
of
July,
July?
right? July 26th?
Oh, food truck night?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Laura?
There's this,
Or meeting night, right?
It's a meeting night, yep.
so I'll be there and you all will be here. That's what we did last year.
That's what we did
And then
last
you'll
year.
come over
Yes.
afterwards. So we'll plan on it being a shorter-ish meeting, maybe.
I will be out of
Shortest meeting.
town, so it's possible you may not have a quorum.
I am out of town. I'm at
Well,
We will
Well, then
not
we
have-
won't have a
We'll
quorum.
all be at food truck
have a
night.
quorum, we do,
We need 4.
I take the roll call, and if we don't have anybody, then we just end the meeting.
Yeah, has anybody heard from Joe?
I have not.
Should we
I
re-
heard from
we reach
him
it?
after the last meeting. Yeah.
What's that? What?
We will have to follow up with Joe, find out where he's
Okay.
at.
Laura?
Yes, I'm trying to think of a consolidated way to put it, so can you come back to me after you ask everyone else?
Sure. Ingrid?
Are you just saying anything
Anything
else?
else you got?
I'd love to talk about invasives down at Silver Lake, but I think I can talk about that with, can I talk about that with you?
We would be happy to bring it up in.
Okay, okay. I just, or maybe I just need to talk to Public Works or something.
Why don't you send the council an email and we can talk with Ron Ritchie about it?
Okay,
So whatever's going on, let us know. Just shoot council an email.
okay. Sounds good. Will do.
Sue? Artie? Cassidy?
Install for Laura, but.
I'm trying to keep it concise. It's important, but I don't know the best way to like,
I'm good.
to keep
So-
it concise. So I've got a phone call asking about some questions about Southwood task force, their budget, like what we give money towards, and then like overall as a city, like the direction that City Hall is moving, which is a more like formalized, like big picture budget, not just kind of like, oh, can you help us out here and there, kind of like how it has been, and some growing pains that have happened around that. And I'm being vague because I can't be clear. So just, I think all of us being aware that like, maybe the Southwood Task Force doesn't have all of the information that we have had, that we've gotten in the last year, where we're talking about budget, we're talking about the direction that the city is moving, the formalized process, like our book, all of that stuff, and helping share that information with the task force, so there isn't necessarily contention or misunderstanding between the city and the task force about what we can and cannot do. And so and like what the parks will or will not pay for, like if we're part of their budget, all of those things, like that's a conversation that's gonna keep coming up.
Do we need to ask them to come to a meeting and have a plan where we can
I don't,
connect with them?
I don't know if it's our purview. I feel like we're getting pulled into,
Oh,
Sorry, go ahead.
I feel like we're getting pulled into a bigger conversation between the task force and the city.
oh, I see. So they need to go to the city council.
That's what I was gonna say. Laura, can we take this offline and maybe you can?
Yes,
You and I
absolutely.
can chat.
I mostly want to say, like, if you're hearing stuff about Southwood, direct them to Jill or Brandy or anything like that, just because the city is going to have the most information.
That's a good way to put it.
Sorry, that's vague.
Thank you for bringing it up.
Yep.
No, Cassidy, we'll leave it offline.
We will leave the South Park offline.
Okay. Anything else? Motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn?
Sarah motion second.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed.